Viola Davis opened up about her thoughts on gender and racial inequality in Hollywood. She says, we get probably a tenth of what a Caucasian woman gets. And I'm #1 on the call sheet, meaning she's listed first because she's the biggest star in the movie. She says, I have a career that's probably comparable to Meryl Streep, Julianne Moore, Sigourney Weaver, she said, citing prominent white actresses and their training and education. She added, they had the same path as me, and yet I am nowhere near them. Not as far as money, not as far as job opportunities, nowhere close to it. There's more that she says, but first thoughts, 5 words or less.
How to get away with stealing. Time's up.
Yep, Viola's right.
Women of color, me surprised, you know? Yeah, so what are your thoughts? I buy it.
She almost has an EGOT,
Yeah.
she's almost an EGOT, right?
She's
one
fantastically
away.
talented,
Right.
and everyone, like when she takes a stage, you notice yourself going like, star, amazing actress about to speak.
Yes.
She has that way of speaking where it's like, oh, you are a very talented actress.
She's
You
right
just know
though. I mean, so we've been gushing and just talking about Black Panther off camera before we started filming today about how it's just killing everywhere. People are loving it, all nationalities, and I'm glad that a movie like that is really showing that African Americans and people of color and like Asians, anyone that's not white, can open a movie. But Viola is right in that one, brutally talented. 2, she named actresses Amy Adams, Julianne Moore, Gwyneth Paltrow, people that have had great roles that easily she could have played, but because she's a black female, the powers that be, as we were talking about before, Grace, think that she can't open a movie. That she can't fill seats, because at the end of the day, that's what these studios want, is people to buy tickets to watch the show.
And it's insane that people have been getting away with underpaying someone who I'm sure she has heard on phone calls before as like the black Meryl Streep, and that's why my 5 words were how to get away with stealing, because now we're in a moment in cinema history where women or minorities are sort of wise to the fact, like, they know what they're owed and they're not backing down.
Nope.
And I think that it's really badass to hear Viola say, like, I know what I'm worth. Pay me what I'm worth. And it's just such a cop out. I can imagine when she's talking about the phone calls that she's had to just sort of like puff her up, and then at the same time you're like low key cutting her down because you're not offering her what you would offer to a Jessica Chastain or a Meryl Streep or Julianne Moore, and she knows that she comes from that same pedigree of acting as them. And so I think it's great that she's speaking out against this, and I'm sure that there are a lot of executives that are probably having to rework budgets because she's sort of leading the charge of a number of different actresses. Jessica Chastain herself has helped out Octavia Spencer. And a lot of people are probably going to have to start adjusting budgets for actors and actresses that want to be compensated fairly, actresses specifically.
I'm sorry, but Jessica Chastain does not have an Academy Award. Octavia and Viola have Academy Awards, but yet Jessica will probably be paid more than those two, because why? She's a white female. And people want to make this a race issue. People back away from making this a race issue, but the reality, ladies and gentlemen, is that this is a race issue. And what's even more crappy is that you have your team, your agents, your managers, people who are supposed to have your back, that are supposed to fight for you, that sometimes aren't doing that as well. Like in the host game, there's been jobs that I should have been paid more than my white counterpart, but I wasn't for whatever reason. And then when I find that out, I'm told, they had more credits than you, or they negotiated differently, when it's like, okay, but we did the same job. Why did I get less than so-and-so? You're not supposed to know what people are making, but in this day and age, that's becoming very transparent.
It's this very strange pressure they put on you not to like ask the one question that you would benefit most from knowing the answer to.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Well, I was just gonna say that another thing that she points out in this interview is that not only are they not getting paid the same amount or like anything comparable to their white female counterparts, is that the roles aren't even there either. So they don't even have the opportunity to get into roles that are as maybe complicated or as hard as some of the white females. And I think that it was really good to hear that Jessica Chastain sort of took a stand and was like, you know what, we're gonna go in this together, and I'm gonna say, I'm not gonna do this unless you pay us at least the same. And then I think in the article it said that they ended up paying them like 5 times what they originally had planned, which is great. But I mean, I think that like not even having the roles there is a problem in itself.
Some facts about how people are paid. Forbes always does the list of the highest paid actors in Hollywood, and number 1 is Mark Wahlberg at $68 million.
Why?
Number 2 is The Rock.
I mean, but The Rock's a brand though. The Rock's an all-encompassing brand though. That makes sense.
So, what place on the list is the highest paid actress? How far down do you have to go before you get to the highest paid actress? 10?
11.
10.
15.
Okay.
Emma Stone was the highest paid actress in Hollywood in 2017. She made $26 million.
Which is chump change compared to...
Which is, 2.5 times less. So she'd have to get paid more than 250% of what she's made to get to Mark Wahlberg.
Wow.
The top 10 actresses, knowing that the top actress is at number 10 on the list, the top 10 actresses who are highest paid are all white. Mila Kunis is Ukrainian. Even though she sometimes to me, I'm like, I don't know if she's with Mila Kunis. Anyways, and one of the reasons for that is blockbusters. So we talk about like the Meryl Streep roles. That's not responsible for you getting paid a lot. That's responsible for you getting cashade. But the things that make you highest paid are being in blockbusters. That's why Jennifer Lawrence was high on the list for so long, because she not only had the perfect mix of like David O. Russell, who's like an auteur, the guy who makes like
American Hustle,
all that, and also she was in Hunger Games, and that's the one that pays, and X-Men, and those, and Black Panther's the only superhero movie that features more than like one black hero.
Yeah.
And it's a dude. And it's tough for women because it's always Superman, Spider-Man, Batman. And only recently are we gonna get like, Captain Marvel. And Wonder Woman, and then there's gonna be a Scarlett Johansson standalone.
I think the problem is that, well, I mean, I'm no expert on television, but I think talent, and Brett, and we always talk about talent, the people that are acting in these movies, we don't own our power. And I think that's changing now. We don't fight for what we think is right because we feel we can't. It's the same thing with with Times of Me Too. These people for a long time until now felt that they didn't have the power to enact change. And I think that when you have someone like Viola Davis who's now coming forward and saying, F this, I'm done. We can all relate, because how many times in our life have we known we deserved better?
Well, and she's on the crest of a wave. Is why I think it's such an important time, is because it's not just, she's going rogue, which would be awesome as well, and she should, of course, have felt empowered to do that. But it's her and so many other voices in Hollywood, actresses, actors who are acting as allies as well. There's so many people who are saying this is not okay and we're going to change things. And I think it's because of this mountain that has been building that we're seeing real change taking place, that we're having these conversations that we just didn't have years back.